Kicking things off at number 10, we have Robert Pattinson. The Twilight heartthrob had the spotlight shine on him for the first time after the release of the first Twilight movie back in 2008, and it's really been on him ever since. The limelight may seem like one's biggest dream, but to Pattinson, it's a nightmare. Robert often speaks out about how isolating fame can be and how it feels strange to be held to such a high standard. The actor says that it's a weird feeling to wake up one day and not be considered a normal person. Pattinson even stated that once fame hits, you lose your normal life. Pattinson is also critical of his fame because he's been pegged as that guy from Twilight, even though he's done many other projects since the saga came to a close. He doubts he will ever shake that sultry vampire image, so he chooses to live his life away from the public eye. In at number 9, Kristen Stewart. Speaking of Twilight, actress Kristen Stewart has seemed to have fallen into the same sort of boat as ex Robert Pattinson. Kristen, who's actually been acting since she was a child, really saw her image taken to new heights after the premiere of the Twilight saga. She had a struggle with fame after the very public breakup with co-star Robert Pattinson back in 2013. The breakup that caused massive media attention turned on her and her cheating scandal with director Rupert Sanders. As the drama surrounding the scandal began to disappear, so did she. After the release of her film Snow White and the Huntsman, Stewart seemed to have taken a break from the public eye for a few years. Upon making her slow return back to Hollywood, she was heard comparing her fame to having her limbs cut off. I think it's safe to say that Hollywood rubbed her the wrong way and she just couldn't handle it. Coming in at number 8, Macaulay Culkin. Former child star Macaulay Culkin was brought into the spotlight very early in his career. Upon reaching his peak in the 90s after the release of Home Alone, Culkin continued to have a pretty steady career. It wasn't until he reached the age of 16 that he decided to take a step back from the fame. After getting emancipated from his family, Macaulay went a little sideways and started getting himself into some trouble. After getting into trouble with the law and abusing illegal substances, the actor found himself back into the spotlight again, but this time for his fall from grace. Everyone knew him as the adorable child star from the 90s, and soon his image became tarnished. It wasn't soon after his public downfall that Culkin took a step back from Hollywood once again. Since then, he's decided to lay low and not gather too much attention. He's since referred to his fame as a blessing and a curse, as it got him a lot of success as a child, but he just couldn't handle the fame.
In at number 7, Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. These two coincidentally started dating the same time that they were starring as love interests in the Spider-Man franchise. And that's pretty much the biggest sign of a fake relationship that there is. However, I do have to say that these two are pretty much the only couple that I actually thought were good together and like could be a thing in the real world. One of the biggest reasons people think that this was a fake relationship is because they were together during the promotions for Spider-Man, but split up once the movie didn't need any more promotion. Then after taking a break, they ended up getting back together when they were both up for the Oscars, and seemingly when they needed some much needed publicity. And although none of this is solid proof, it's just very like interesting timing. And at number 6, Timothée Chalamet and Lily Rose Depp. This is another couple that started because they were love interests on the movie that they were parted called The King. Both Timothy and Lily are rising stars, and it made sense for both of them to get in a relationship together to get even more publicity, especially since they're a very good-looking couple, I have to admit. The situation here is that they were spotted up together in New York City, and paparazzi pictures, of course, looking pretty cozy together. But everyone wasn't convinced that they were actually together until they showed up to the Venice Film Festival hand in hand. But there is a chance that their management didn't think that they were selling their love story good enough, so days after the festival, these photos of them kissing on a boat were released, and they show very clear romantic interest, along with a whole lot more that we won't get into. But there has been a lot of talk that this photo is staged because it's almost impossible for paparazzi to get that close of a shot unless the celebrities let them. And at number 4, Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes. This is another relationship that I'm convinced started out as a PR stunt, but ended up turning into a real relationship. The pair met in 2014 when they were both on tour with Austin Mahone, and they were apparently friendly. They even released a song together. But everything changed when they released the hit song Senorita that went on to be a smash hit. A big part of the success was the fact that the two of them started dating in the midst of it and literally could not keep their hands off each other. And at first, with the level of PDA that they were showing, it looked very fake. But since it's been a few years and they're still together, I believe the fake relationship ended up blossoming into a real one.
Coming down to the wire here at 3, we have Avicii. Tim Bergling, also known as Avicii, was a DJ, producer, and musician well known across the world. His death back in April 2018 shook the music world. Although he is known for producing some killer music, he struggled a lot with his image. Being one of the most successful artists in the world and having sold over 10 million albums, Avicii worked hard to keep producing, but maybe he went a little too hard. Avicii was known to have struggled with his health and his fame, even going so far as to take a break from music back in 2014. The DJ went on to say that the partying and wild times that are associated with his job are really what had taken the biggest toll on his health, and that he really didn't enjoy that aspect of his job. During his break, he had 2 surgeries to remove his gallbladder and appendix, so he really did have a struggle with his health. Avicii died by suicide, and many believe that it was because of his poor mental health caused by his job and his fame. Getting close to the end at number 2, we have Britney Spears. I think we all remember the pop star's public breakdown back in 2007 and 2008. Her fall from grace was heavily documented and criticized, as the public had never seen this side of Britney before. She was previously seen as a sweet and charming girl with a baby voice, but after paparazzi snapped images of her attacking photographers with an umbrella while donning her infamous shaved head, Britney's career plummeted hard. After dealing with mental health problems, a failed marriage, and losing custody of her 2 kids, Britney's state went from bad to worse. It wasn't until her fame and the media came into the mix that things really spiraled out of control for the singer. She was labeled as crazy and was put into the care of her overprotective father. Having such a public meltdown was absolutely detrimental for the star, not only for her career but also for her mental state. Finally, coming in at number 1, Amy Winehouse. 5-time Grammy Award-winning singer Amy Winehouse experienced so much during her few years of fame. She became such an overnight sensation that she didn't know how to cope with all of her newfound fame. The rehab singer started off her career strong but quickly began to falter under the weight of her own fame. The artist soon experienced severe depression and turned to substance abuse to cope with the pain. Amy was so confused and overwhelmed by all the attention she was receiving that she began getting into the wrong crowd and experimenting with heavy drugs. Amy's career came to a halt after her death in July of 2011 due to alcohol poisoning. After her death, many of Amy's fans began blaming themselves for the singer's passing because they believed that they should have helped her better navigate her place in the media. Everyone was heartbroken upon hearing of her passing, but she's just one of the many examples of what happens when fame gets to be too much.
In at number 10, Jared Leto. Many know Jared Leto as either that bizarre Joker from Suicide Squad or perhaps from the band 30 Seconds to Mars. However, Jared first began his acting career in the early 90s, making various TV appearances. His first major break as an actor was in ABC's teen drama My So-Called Life. Leto would also receive some tabloid fame from 1999 to 2003 when he dated and was engaged to Cameron Diaz. Since then, he's made some impressive performances in big films, including Dallas Buyers Club in 2013, which brought him an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Half of Jared Leto's genius is that he can hide so well in plain sight because he's a method actor. It really allows audiences to believe his acting and allows him to settle into a character. People often forget that in 2007, Jared Leto played Mark David Chapman in the film Chapter 27. Mark was the man who assassinated John Lennon, and to prepare for this role, Leto had to drastically change his body. Leto had to force feed himself to put on a staggering 67 pounds just for the role. He allegedly ate a diet heavy with microwave pints of ice cream mixed with olive oil and soy sauce. Although the weight gain did not come without consequence, and in return, Jared developed gout from the experience. In at number 9, Kumail Nanjiani. Kumail Nanjiani first rose to fame through his stand-up comedy 1-hour special on Comedy Central, but he is best known for his role as Dinesh on the HBO comedy series Silicon Valley. He also received praise for co-writing and starring in the romantic comedy The Big Sick in 2017, which was also based on real events from his life. The success of that movie then indirectly put him in a position for much larger roles in Hollywood, which included a big opportunity to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Knowing that he would be starring alongside the likes of Angelina Jolie and Salma Hayek, that prompted Nanjiani to get his body into serious shape. He knew that in order to represent himself properly as a samurai warrior in Marvel's Eternals, he would need to get into superhero level shape, which led to the Instagram post that pretty much broke the internet. In the Instagram post, he opened up about the reality of changing your body so drastically. He admitted that while it may seem impressive, it did not come without a lot of hard work. He goes on to say, "I would not have been able to do this if I didn't have a full year with the best trainers and nutritionists paid for by the biggest studio in the world." In at number 8, Farrah Abraham. Farrah Abraham first received public attention after being cast in the reality TV series 16 and Pregnant back in 2009. Following that, she was recast in a sort of follow-up series called Teen Mom. Following the ending of the show after 4 seasons, she then released her debut studio album along with her memoir titled My Teenage Dream Ended. Although Farrah believed she needed to have multiple plastic surgeries to maintain her fame. In 2014, she admitted as much on the Bethany Frankel talk show.
Jumping into number 7, we have Daniel Radcliffe. We all know Daniel Radcliffe for his iconic role as Harry Potter, but what we've neglected to realize is that he's been in the public eye since he was a child. Kicking off his career as a boy wizard back in 2001, Radcliffe had his share of scrutiny from the public. Daniel has been quite vocal about his struggle with fame since being a child, saying things like, "People will boo you even if you're a child." Can you believe that? Imagine living your life as a 10-year-old and having people boo you just for being you. I mean, I understand being booed for some controversial thing you did in your past, but come on people, he's just a kid. The actor has also voiced his struggle with coping with fame, saying it's tempting to turn to alcohol to deal with scrutiny. Poor guy. I mean, this sort of gives us an idea as to why many celebs have substance abuse problems, but luckily, Radcliffe's doing okay even with all this fame. But since the end of the Harry Potter movies, he's chosen to keep out of the spotlight as much as possible. Over here at number 6 we have Demi Lovato. Former Disney star Demi Lovato found her start at just 16 years old upon getting her starring role in Camp Rock. After the movie's release, Demi continued to find success on the Disney Channel and with her own music career. But it seems that after her run with Disney, she began to crack under Mickey Mouse's pressure. Just 2 years after the release of Camp Rock, Demi reportedly assaulted one of the backup dancers she was traveling with. This began a very public criticism of the star. After leaving the Disney Channel, Demi found herself caught in the middle of other scandals like drug abuse and mental health relapses. Demi was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and this, mixed with the stress of being a child star in the media, just became too much for her. Demi started going in and out of rehab, but has finally seemed to come out in a better place. Focusing on her music, she's mostly stayed out of the spotlight and continues to get better. Coming in at number 4, Zayn Malik. Known for his part in the former boy band One Direction, Zayn was known to have his fair share of grievances when it came to his fame. After leaving the group in 2015, Zayn went on to tell sources that he came to the realization that he just didn't want to be famous, and that he lost a lot of people close to him because of it. Zayn really didn't like living with the public eye, so he quit his job over it. Although Zayn decided to begin a solo career, many believe that even that was too much for the singer. After the release of Pillow Talk, Zayn followed up with a number of cancelled appearances and performances, leading people to believe that he's still not up for the spotlight just yet.
In at number 3, Kylie Jenner. Before becoming the billionaire business mogul she is now, Kylie was basically a background extra on the show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She was notably famous by association, but to reach the same superficial status as her sister, she went under the knife. Kylie Jenner has admitted to having lip fillers, but fans think that she may have had other cosmetic surgery as well. There's no doubt that she is also heavily into photoshopping, but seeing this drastic change of her appearance and suddenly she's more in the limelight than the rest of her family can't be a coincidence. Kylie revealed during an Instagram post that her lips have been an insecurity of hers since childhood, not condoning what she did, but her lip boost did pave the way for her billion-dollar lip gloss business. Other plastic surgery rumors aside, the lip filler choice was something that Kylie ended up regretting, as she revealed later on Instagram. In at number 2, Michael Jackson. The sad thing was that Michael Jackson's obsession with constantly changing his appearance almost overshadowed his talent as an artist. Allegedly, the first major surgery that MJ had done was on his nose. However, this was to help him breathe better and hit higher notes, according to Michael Jackson. Although with Michael's vitiligo starting to spread more and more, the rumors began swirling that he was bleaching his own skin to have it blend better. Looking at who he was in the Jackson 5 to who he would be in 2009 was drastically different. We're not sure if him deciding to change his appearance was in part of wanting to distance himself from his childhood fame, but either way, mission accomplished. Jackson became a standout artist and king of pop based on talent and a good cosmetic surgeon. I'm kidding about the last part, but his doctor, famed Beverly Hills cosmetic surgeon Dr. Stephen Hoffman, said that he was only doing what Michael wanted. He told The Telegraph, "My job is to try to make people happy. In the case of high-level entertainers, the result may not be what the average person would want. But remember, these are performers who want to create a certain image for a special reason." Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Jennifer Grey. After her starring role in the movie Dirty Dancing, Jennifer Grey was completely unaware of how famous she was about to become. The movie didn't perform well at award ceremonies, but it has become widely popularized for certain scenes and lines. For example, everyone knows not to put baby in the corner. Even The Notebook borrowed heavily from the practicing lifts in a lake sequence, while the blossoming romance between bad boy Johnny Castle and earnest rich girl Frances Baby Houseman made stars of both Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. Like most of these celebrities on this list, Jennifer decided to have a bit of cosmetic work done following the success of the film. This, however, turned into the now infamous nose job from hell. Grey told The Mirror, "I went into the operating room a celebrity and came out anonymous." The nose job had altered her appearance just enough that even fans of the film didn't recognize her anymore.
At number 10, Lindsay Lohan. Yet another former child star who is addicted to fame is none other than Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay grew up in the spotlight, so really she doesn't know anything else, and the fact that she's not as relevant as she once was has caused her to want to hold on to that fame as much as she can. When she started off in Hollywood, she was a model and actress, making hit film after hit film. From The Parent Trap to Freaky Friday to Mean Girls, Lindsay was crushing it in Hollywood until about 2006. After that, things started going downhill. Soon the only headlines that she was making had to do do with her substance abuse and DUIs, but for her, any publicity was good publicity because it kept people talking, and that's what she lived for. Now that she's cleaned herself up a bit, not many people are talking about Lindsay anymore, and that seems to be a problem. From time to time, the actress would make headlines for something shocking like trying to kidnap refugee children and claim to have been racially profiled at an airport, and these things would get people talking once again, though it isn't always positive. This fame addiction makes you do crazy things to keep you in the spotlight. At number 9, Sahar Tabar. Internet celebrity Sahar Tabar fooled the internet into thinking that she had a botched appearance because she wanted to look like Angelina Jolie. What people didn't know is that her appearance was digitally altered to get that shocking look that she was known for. It all started with one post that shocked the internet, and from that point she continued posting more and more shocking images of her zombie Angelina look. The more her posts circulated on the internet and went viral, the more she fed into this character that she created for herself. Everything was built off a lie, but that didn't matter to her because she became famous and addicted to that fame. She was eventually arrested for what she was posting online and went to jail for it, so that just shows how this fame addiction can go horribly wrong. Sometimes fame can bring out the worst in people. Now before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because it really helps to support the channel. At number 8, Madonna. Madonna has been around for a while now, and somehow she's been able to hold on to that fame. I'm not saying somehow as in she's not talented enough to stay relevant, but I mean it in the sense that so many celebrities have faded into obscurity in the time that she's been around. Why is that? Well, some people say that she has an addiction to fame. Madonna rose to fame in the 80s and 90s, and since then she's evolved quite a bit. Her music isn't necessarily the same as it once was, but that's a good thing for someone like her. A lot of the time, musical artists will stay within their specific sound, and though it's great for those first starting out and climbing the charts, it's not so great when that specific sound or image isn't trendy anymore. For the most part, Madonna has been able to adapt to our ever-evolving trends, and when all else fails, you cause a scandal like when she kissed Britney Spears at the VMAs back in the day. Madonna knows how to finesse to keep herself afloat in Hollywood, and that's good for her.
In at number 7, Matthew McConaughey. When Texan rodeo riding electrician Ron Woodruff was diagnosed with HIV in 1985 at age 35, he was given 30 days to live. He would die 7 years later due to complications from AIDS in September 1992. To probably take on the role, Matthew McConaughey had to shed off the pounds and drop to the lowest weight that he's ever been. Both Jared Leto and Matthew lost an extreme amount of weight to prepare for this role that ended up paying dividends. Matt took home the Academy Award, Golden Globe, and Critics' Choice Award for Best Actor in 2014. In regards to how he lost the weight, McConaughey told the press, "I met with a nutritionist, I gave myself 4 months to lose the weight. I had my programmed meals, lost 3.5 pounds a week like clockwork, and got down to my desired weight, which turned out to be 47 pounds lighter." Although oddly enough, Matt said that shedding off all of the weight actually made him more hyper. He reported that he had so much energy he needed 3 hours less sleep every night. In at number 6, Heidi Montag. Heidi Montag had already established herself as a leading character on the MTV show The Hills. It was this scripted show about a group of friends, lovers, and enemies in LA, but it was made to appear kind of like a reality show. Heidi was clearly obsessed with the idea of changing how she looked, and as reported by Radar Online, Heidi said, "I didn't know what an eyebrow lift and a chin reduction was, so once he kind of told me everything that was wrong with me, I felt really insecure, and he gave me a really great deal on it all. He didn't tell me how extensive it was going to be, how severe, how painful, so I had no idea." Then they go on to list the procedures that she had done in 2010. In total, Heidi Montag went under the knife for 10 plastic surgery sessions in just one day. When she appeared on the cover of People magazine looking completely different from her previous self, she told them, "I think I look way better and I'm way happier," adding, "Nobody ages perfectly, so I plan to keep using surgery to make me as perfect as I can be." Following all of these surgeries, she definitely did get lots of attention for that, but the question is, at what cost? She does regret changing her body so drastically because of the impacts that it's had on her health. In at number 5, Christian Bale. Back in 2004, Christian Bale shocked the world with his massive dedication to playing the role of Trevor Resnick, a machinist with severe insomnia. The machinist, as I mentioned, is about an industrial worker who hasn't slept in a year because he begins to doubt his own sanity. To play this emaciated insomniac, Christian Bale lost 63 pounds in just 4 months, which by any medical standard is incredibly dangerous. Bale started at around 173 pounds and got himself down to 110 pounds before the film's producers reportedly just told him to stop. Apparently Bale wanted to hit 100 pounds, but they had concerns for his overall health and well-being. His diet consisted of 1 can of tuna fish and or 1 apple per day. On top of that, he was doing increased cardio workouts while maintaining a very low-calorie diet. To drink, his only options were water or black coffee. Bale did end up picking up the award for Best Actor at the Catalonian International Film Festival, and The Machinist would end up making a grand total of $8.2 million US. In at number 4, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro felt passion and heart in this role, and still to this day he says that preparing for Raging Bull was his toughest task to date. De Niro had actually seen Jake LaMotta on the streets of NYC and noticed how out of shape that he had become. So they filmed the portion of Jake in his younger fighter stage, but halted production so that Robert could actually gain weight for the later scenes. Before Christian Bale famously lost and regained weight for his roles, there was the king of method acting, Robert De Niro. By the end of the film, De Niro had tacked on an extra 60 pounds to shoot the remaining scenes of the boxer's career and life. At the time, this weight gain was the most by any actor for a film role, but what's even crazier is the ups and downs it took to make this film. Not only did they have to deal with executive producers worried about them going over budget, but apparently Martin Scorsese was so alarmed by the weight gain and struggle breathing from De Niro that he shut down production again. Although it did pay off because Bobby picked up the Academy Award and a Golden Globe for Best Actor, but more importantly, he established himself as an actor dedicated to his craft.
At number 3, Charli and Dixie D'Amelio. Charli and Dixie D'Amelio are some of the biggest influencers on TikTok, and they seem to be absolutely obsessed with their own fame. They're teenagers who grew up on the internet and have been exposed to fame at a young age, making it so that their growing follower count gives them some sort of rush. This is at least what psychologists believe when it comes to young people online, saying that this fame addiction is going to greatly affect kids in the future. They say that because these kids are so addicted to fame at such a young age, that in the long run they won't have a solid grip on reality when they enter deeper into adulthood, and that could prove troublesome. So not only are these guys addicted, but they're melting their brains at the same time, more or less. At number 2, Joe Exotic. After rising to fame with the release of the Tiger King documentary, Joe Exotic has been basking in his newfound notoriety even from behind bars. Even though Joe was the talk of the town for a couple months back in 2020, Joe has been trying to hold on to whatever fame he has left and is trying to use that to get himself out of prison. Joe was sentenced to a life behind bars after plotting to end the life of his rival Carole Baskin and also animal endangerment. But after all that, Joe still tried to reach out to his fans, sending messages to them from in prison and even giving interviews from behind bars. We know from the documentary that Joe had always been searching for fame. He put himself out there with his music career, his web series, and even the fact that he tried to get picked up for a reality show. So finally, when his time in the spotlight came, Joe just didn't want to let it go. No one is really talking about the Tiger King anymore other than Joe himself, showing us that once he got a taste for fame, he got hooked and is not letting go. And finally, at number 1, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian is one of the most famous people in the world. She went from being Paris Hilton's assistant to being a billionaire celebrity / influencer. You can always catch Kim on social media, making waves in the news, and everyone wanted to keep up with the Kardashians at one point. But there's a dark side to all this that Kanye West revealed in an interview where he commented on how Kim is addicted to fame. When he brought up the idea that Kim was a little too caught up in her own fame, Kim in response said, quote, "I do agree that fame can be addicted, and it took me a long time to recognize how lost you can become when you put too much focus on it. People often ask me, money or fame. My focus has always been on success, and with success comes money." End quote. Kim also went on to say that at the beginning of her career she felt more strongly about fame, saying that back then she equated fame with success, but she claims to have a very different view on things now, being more focused on money than social status.
And at number 10, Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly. Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly are the hot new couple on the block in Hollywood. But a lot of people are not buying the relationship, and with how public that they've been, experts are pretty sure that it's a PR stunt. Here are just a few examples of why people think that it's fake. Firstly, in Megan's interview on the Give Them Lala with Randall podcast, Megan Fox revealed that she knew Machine Gun Kelly was her quote soulmate even before they met. And apparently after she heard MGK was cast as the other lead in the film, she already felt the connection deep in her soul. I don't know, it's a little suspicious. Also, MGK claims that he literally did nothing on set but pine and obsess over Megan Fox. They've also been all over social media claiming that they're twin flames. Megan also made waves by starring in MGK's music video for Bloody Valentine. And personally, I believe that Megan Fox needed a hot new relationship to get her name back in the spotlight, as well as to promote their new movie together. So it just seems pretty convenient to me. And at number 9, Rob Kardashian and Blac Chyna. I fully believe that this relationship was entirely orchestrated by Chyna for 2 reasons. I think the first reason was to get famous off of the Kardashian name, but the second was to get some low-key revenge on the Kardashian family because Kylie stole her baby daddy Tyga. It seemed all too convenient when Rob and Chyna got together, and they moved at pretty pretty much lightning speed, getting engaged and then learning they were pregnant. The couple also got their own show, Rob and China, out of that relationship, which was lucrative for both of them. And even though it was a complete mess, it got major publicity for the both of them and gave tons of storylines for Keeping Up with the Kardashians as well. Of course, the two have a child together, so I'm sure some part of the relationship was real, but I also believe a lot of it was fake. In at number 8, Selena Gomez and The Weeknd. Selena Gomez and The Weeknd had a brief public relationship right after both of them broke up with their respective partners. But this relationship just seemed incredibly convenient, and honestly, these two people did not seem compatible whatsoever to me, which led to a lot of people thinking this relationship was actually fake. Here are a few reasons why. Firstly, the two got very public very fast and were paparazzi'd at music festivals like Coachella and out on the streets of LA, but they never posted anything to their own social media profiles, which could be proof that they never spent any time together alone, only in front of the cameras. Also, there were tons of blind gossip forums that claimed that many in the industry knew that it was just a publicity stunt. The last and most important piece of evidence for me was that both of them were seen out with their exes, Justin Bieber and Bella Hadid, almost right after Selena and Abel's breakup. And with all that combined, I'm pretty convinced that it was just a publicity stunt.
At number 5, Chrissy Teigen. In recent weeks, Chrissy Teigen has been facing backlash ever since she was exposed for having cyberbullied Kourtney Stodden back in the day. Leaked DMs and past tweets exposed how mean Chrissy was to Kourtney, and as a result, Chrissy was cancelled. But since then, it seems as though Chrissy has been feeding off this bad publicity to keep her name in the media, or so people think. For the past few weeks, Chrissy has been riding the cancellation train, commenting on how unfair it is that she's facing the unrelenting wrath of the internet for some time now because of her drama with Kourtney, and some people have started to catch on to the fact that every time she complains about how people aren't really the biggest fan of her right now, it makes a headline. Just recently, Kourtney Stodden commented on the situation with Chrissy saying, quote, "I think that continuing to gripe about cancel club or whatever that is, I think step out, take your part, and maybe do something with charities," end quote. This was in response to the fact that Chrissy keeps on, quote, "looking for sympathy because of her cancelled status." It looks like Chrissy is feeding off her cancellation to maintain her fame, in a way which is a little backwards, but seems to be working in its own bizarre way. At number 4, James Charles. You would think that after having the internet cancel you so many times that you would just take the L and leave, but not YouTuber James Charles, which has led to people believing that he's just in it for the fame. Over his time online, James has landed himself in a number of pretty serious scandals. There was a whole Bi-Sister scandal of 2019 that saw the YouTuber lose millions of followers overnight. There's been the numerous allegations of misconduct against James, and with his recent slew of misconduct allegations, he's lost his hugely successful collaboration with Morphe Cosmetics, and his YouTube channel faced demonetization as well. After all the hits James has taken over the last few years, with all the backlash he's faced and everything he's lost, how is he still around? Well, people think that he's just too addicted to the rush that comes with internet fame to step back now. For a lot of people, bad publicity is still good publicity, even if it taints your reputation, because at least people are still talking about you. James still has a pretty big fan base, but he loses thousands of supporters with every scandal he's in. Do you think there will ever come a time where James throws in the towel, or do you think he's in too deep?
And at number 3, Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. Since these two were so young when they started making the High School Musical movies, I don't think that this relationship was exactly arranged, but I'm pretty confident that it was strongly encouraged. These two started dating during filming, and they broke up practically right when High School Musical was no longer on TV. And since I was a preteen at this time and totally eating up their entire relationship, I can definitely say that them dating in real life made the movies just so much better for me personally. There was also a rumor that at one point Zac Efron and Ashley Tisdale were dating, but they weren't allowed to go public with it because there needed to be the illusion that Troy and Gabriella were the ones that were actually together IRL. And at number 2, Noah Cyrus and Lil Xan. I think these two were in a fake relationship because they both needed publicity pretty badly, and frankly, it worked. We also got the legendary photo of Xan kissing Noah on the cheek on the red carpet and getting his face like smushed in. Really cringy photo. After speculation that the short relationship was staged, Lil Xan actually confirmed it. He said, quote, "Showed it to Columbia Records too for setting up that fake relationship. I didn't want to do it, to be completely honest. It was just added work to my schedule, you know what I mean?" Noah immediately clapped back, saying the relationship was not staged, and it started when he hit her up over DMs. But her trying to deny that the relationship is faked was honestly just a little suspicious for me. And finally, at number 1, Taylor Swift and Harry Styles. If you've ever wondered if this relationship was faked, apparently a biography about Harry's life is coming out by Louisa Jepson, and in it she claims that the relationship was in fact fake. Apparently, One Direction's team, quote, went to great lengths to put the two together because she's such a huge star. Adding, quote, anytime Taylor starts dating a new guy, she gets a flurry of media attention, and her breakups receive even more, Jepsen said in the book. And one reason I believe this could be true is because this relationship was one of her most public, and she made a few dates to Harry that were picked up by the press and fueled their alleged feud. And a lot of people assume that she wouldn't be that savage unless she knew that he was in on it.